Hey there, Nick here, PD dialysis nurse. Today I'm going to talk to you about salt intake, how much you should take, how much you shouldn't take, how to watch out for salt, and alternatives to salt. So this right here is 1 teaspoon. If you have kosher salt in your cabinet, or if you have sea salt in your cabinet, this 1 teaspoon of salt that's perfectly balanced on my finger here contains 2,300 milligrams of salt. And let's not forget, salt and sodium are the exact same thing, just 2 different words for the same thing. So 2,300 milligrams of sodium. Guess what the recommended daily amount of salt intake is for dialysis patients? If you said 2,000, I would have said yes, but evidence-based practice has indicated that 1,500 is the exact amount that dialysis patients should take. So I now tell my patients try to stick between 1,500 to 2,000 because I'm a realistic type person. So 1 teaspoon of sea salt or kosher salt is more than the recommended daily amount of salt for dialysis patients. That's sad. We all need salt. Salt's very important for our body, but if you have kidney disease, your kidneys are not balancing that salt water intake, so that could lead to high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, cardiovascular disease, edema, or fluid overload. Feels like you're drowning in your sleep when you're laying down because you have so much fluid on you. Your heart may be compressed by all the fluid that's in your body. So it's very, very bad to just eat as much salt as you want if you're a dialysis patient. You should monitor this. So how do we monitor this? What do? We take this salt shaker and we chuck it. We replace our onion salt and garlic salt with onion powder and garlic powder. We look at the back of ingredients and look for words like brine, baking soda, baking powder, and realize all that stuff has sodium in it, and we're trying to avoid sodium. Not at all costs, but to a certain extent. We look at the back of this and we see 200 milligrams of sodium per serving, 3.5 servings per can. This 1 can has 750 milligrams of salt. That's a lot of salt. Zone bar, I give this to my patients who have low protein. I say, hey, take 2 a day. You really need more protein. Your protein is really low. 200 milligrams of salt per serving, per bar, I should say. So my patients who take this twice a day, it's 400 milligrams of salt. And yeah, you really got to watch out. You got to be careful. So what do? First, I didn't talk about salt. What does salt do? When you eat salt, your brain says, I'm thirsty. When your brain says, I'm thirsty, you feel thirsty. I got to drink some water. I got to drink some water. And you go drink some water. That increased salt leads to increased fluids. So that's basically why we don't want you taking a lot of salt, because it's going to make your head say, I'm thirsty, I'm thirsty, I'm thirsty, and it'll be hard to resist it because you'll really be thirsty. Blood pressure will increase. Like I said before, your heart will become congestive heart failure, fluid overload, et cetera, et cetera. So if you didn't take in that much salt, your brain won't be saying, I'm thirsty, so you won't have all these bad conditions, bad things happening to you. So like I said, look for ingredients in the products that you buy. Stay away from processed foods, aka convenience foods. Like, do they still call them TV dinners? Or Wendy's, Whataburger, Popeyes, Raising Cane's, all these fast food places. Their foods have a lot of salt. Processed foods contain a lot of salt. And what sucks is you can't taste it. If you went to Wendy's right now and got, I don't know, a double-decker burger, whatever they sell there, and you took a bite into it, you will not taste salt. But if you looked at the ingredients, you will see that double-decker burger had like 900 milligrams of salt. That's like more than half of what you should take in a day. So be careful about your salt intake. Watch out for brine on the back of your ingredients. Watch out for baking soda, for baking powder. Mrs. Dash is a really good salt alternative. Mrs. Dash is a seasoning. It's a low salt seasoning. You can also find other herbs. Herbs are way better than low salt products. So if you ever go to the store and see like Morton's low sodium salt, horrible for you. Why? Because it has a lot of potassium. A lot of these salt alternatives have lots of potassium. And that's something else you have to watch out for. Potassium chloride or just anything with potassium is bad because increased potassium can cause you to have abnormal heart rhythms. So we don't want you to have a heart attack. We don't want you to get a stroke or a clot in your lungs. So avoid salt alternatives with high potassium. Avoid high sodium products. What else? If you go to a restaurant and you get like a juicy steak, remember cured steak is very tasty and restaurants want to serve you cured steaks. A cured meat is basically putting salt on meat. That salt will get the juice out of the meat, make it very, very tasty. But that's bad for you because that's a lot of salt. So especially when you buy meat products or fish products, make sure that they're not injected with salt. Ask them for the low salt, the fresh meat, the fresh fish that doesn't have excess salt in it. If you're at a restaurant, ask your server, hey buddy, you mind asking the chef to make my food with no salt or very little salt? I have kidney disease and salt's not that good for me. And I'm sure they'll do it for you. But as I said, making the food yourself is the best thing to do because you control how much salt you put in your food. 1 teaspoon, 5 milliliters, 2,300 milligrams of salt. So if you're a healthy person, if you don't have kidney disease, then 2,000, I think it's actually 2,300 is the recommended daily amount of salt that you should intake. But if you have kidney disease, if you're 51 or older, if you have high blood pressure, and if you're African American, you should take in 1,500 milligrams of salt a day. So you can be the healthiest African American in the world, and you still gotta take in 1,500 milligrams. I don't know if I agree with that, but that's what the research shows. I think I pretty much covered it. Oh, vegetables. I think I said, yep, put them in a strainer, put them in fresh water. Just remember, guys, you control this. You have all the power here. You really do. When you had uncontrolled diabetes, when you had high blood pressure, you didn't feel your kidneys failing you. Towards the end, maybe you felt it, but when it was happening, you didn't feel it. So if you're walking around with fluid overload, 4 pounds over your target weight, if you're walking around with blood pressure of 180 over 101, that's damaging your body. Dialysis, at least for your kidneys, is the last step to save your life. So take your medications like you're supposed to take your medications. I had a patient come in today, 180 over like 99. I almost lost my mind. If my mom, his blood pressure is over 150, I flip out and I'm like, let's send a message to your doctor right now. We need to adjust your medication because I know you take your medication. This is too high. But patients coming in 190s, like, hey, what's up, Nick? Like, no, why didn't you telling me they didn't take your meds? So take your meds. I'm getting off my soapbox. Take your meds, monitor your fluid intake, monitor your potassium intake, monitor your salt intake. Take care of yourself. Ciao.